Good day, Mets fans, and thank you for watching another episode of Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met, and it is Friday, the 24th of March, and I'm going to be talking today. It's sort of part 3 of my 6-part preseason wrap-up, getting ready for 2017. Part 3 is a focus on the infield. Earlier this week, I talked about the bullpen and the starting rotation, and today we're going to focus on the infield. I'm focusing on the infield, including catchers, just so that I don't have to focus an entire video on what is probably the weakest spot on the team. So we're going to include catchers in the discussion about the infield. So, starting with the catching situation, again, I think it is probably, and everyone will agree, one of the weaker positions on the field for the Mets. Travis d'Arnaud will, of course, be the starting catcher, and Rene Rivera will be his backup. And fortunately, that means I don't have to see very much of my favorite player, Kevin Plawecki. Yes, that was sarcasm. So d'Arnaud's had a very good spring. His numbers are up. As was pointed out on today's broadcast, though, he has not had a good couple of games. I think like 5 or 6 straight games, maybe even more. I think he's had 3 hits total in those 5 or 6 games. Yep, it's spring training. That's like a broken record anymore. But it's worth noting that Travis looks like he's made some adjustments to his swing, and hopefully the results translate on the field. Because if he can hit, and if he can do what I think everybody's expected him to be able to do, the weak spot on the team will turn into a strong spot in relatively short fashion. Moving from catcher to the rest of the infield, there's really not a lot of question mark outside of the big one, and it's David Wright. I think we honestly have to ask ourselves the question: will David Wright ever play again? And as much as I hate asking the question and even thinking about it, because I love David Wright, it's one of my favorite players of all time. I think he's a cornerstone player for this franchise. There's no one that can argue that. If there were a Mount Rushmore of the Mets, Mount Metsmore, if you will, I don't think anyone would argue that 3 of the 4 faces up there would be Tom Seaver, Mike Piazza, and David Wright. Now, we can argue about who the 4th one will be, but maybe we'll do that another time. David Wright's situation heading into 2017 is very sketchy. Honestly, I don't know that we're going to see him play ever again, and it makes me sad to think about it. David's heart and his mind are both wanting to contribute to this team and provide as much as he can and win with this team. And as much as we'd all like to see him do it, I think the obstacle for that is David Wright's body. It's broken down faster than anybody would have expected it to break down, and it's really a shame, because at this point in time, if you had to ask me and I had to give you a yes or no, is he ever going to play again? I honestly would lean toward no, and it's sad. But in David's place will be Jose Reyes. Jose Reyes will be starting the season as the starting third baseman. That does kind of work itself out nicely because he is a leadoff hitter, and absent Reyes in the lineup, there's really no legit leadoff hitter available to the Mets. So, I mean, that's kind of a good thing, the fact that Reyes will be in there at third base and leading off. Reyes will be flanked on his left by Asdrubal Cabrera, who's had, other than Yoenis Cespedes, probably the best statistical spring of any hitter on the Mets team. He's batting close to 400. And he can also stake the claim that he was ejected from a spring training game by everyone's favorite umpire, Angel Hernandez. So rounding out the infield will be Neil Walker at second base, and of course Lucas Duda at first. In this infield, there's a potential for some major home run power, particularly from Duda and Walker. Last year, Walker hit 22. He can hit more if he's healthy. He missed a month and a half or so, maybe like 5-6 weeks of the season last year. Can he hit 25? Sure, I've talked about that before. Lucas Duda has the potential to hit 30 home runs if he can stay on the field. And of course, Duda was also injured last year and missed a good chunk of time. So if these guys can stay on the field, there's a lot of power on the first and second base side of the infield, and I'm interested in looking forward to seeing what they're going to do this season. So that's my wrap up for the infield. Again, not too much to talk about. We're going to cover the bench players for the infield in a video next week. So we're just going to stick with the starters for now. It's easier and quicker. So any thoughts or opinions or comments, please feel free to share them below. Let me know if you agree with my sad estimation of David Wright's future, or talk me off the ledge. That would be great. You can also hit me up on Twitter at Mr_Met. I thank you again for watching this video, and as always, let's go Mets!